Controversies continue to plague South Africa's higher education system as the year comes to an end, as many matriculants look to furthering their studies at higher education institutions next year. A major problem is that public universities are not able to absorb the growing demand. Eduvos, a private higher education institution, has released a white paper and accompanying positioning paper that unpacks this. And for more on this, we are joined on the line by Dr. Riaan Steenberg, Eduvos Executive Director. Dr. Steenberg, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you, Lulu, and such a pleasure to be here.
Now, just let's start with some of the issues facing higher education in South Africa. What is the biggest challenge?
Really, I think the biggest challenge is that the system isn't designed to cater for everybody that can have access at a time when we really need to ask what is the system serving, and if we're going to unlock our development goals, as we just see with the G20 and B20, we're really going to have to step up our game and enable more people to get through the education system so that we enable new industries, Lulu. So that, I think the biggest issues is access, it is affordability, and making sure that what is being delivered is future fit and fit for purpose for those people to get careers, and that will transform the continent, really.
And just looking at access in terms of, apart from access and accessibility, and affordability, we really do not have enough universities. Apart from the fact that there are private universities that are here, but when it comes to public education, we don't have enough universities. What does government need to do to ensure that there are enough universities for the number of young people that go through the matriculating system in the country?
Thank you, Lulu. And that is the right question. But the reality is that government can't do it. So I think we need to realize that the future is collaboration and not competition. And even now in South Africa, more than 20% of all capacity for first-time people that enroll for the first time is being provided by the private higher education sector. We welcome the fact that in future private institutions, once the minister has published the regulations, that they could become fully blown universities. But I want to emphasize that we need to collaborate between the public and the private sector so that we develop a new joint compact, which should include designing curriculums together, helping people to register between institutions, sharing research facilities, and really building skills in STEM, teacher training, and health, and ensuring that there's seamless student mobility. And I think that that's a large part of what we wanted to communicate in this paper that we've put together, is that there is a model where we work together, because I don't think government, or for that matter, the private sector, can do it alone.
And just going back, Dr. Steenberg, to the issue of affordability. Yes, private universities seem to be expensive, but when you go back and just compare with the public sector universities, there isn't really much of a difference.
100%, there isn't really much of a difference. And if you look at the throughput rates and the probability of you succeeding in the public versus private, because the private have what I would call a high care type approach and really is fit for purpose and works much closer with industry, there's a much higher probability that you will complete your studies if you're in private higher education. And we realize that that is because the public system is constrained by its funding models, and that we can really explore new ways to do this. So I think it is a viable proposition, and we're seeing that more people are turning for their first-time education needs towards the private sector. And we also note that the public sector has, for the first time in almost a decade, set the intent to expand access through adding another 200,000 seats over the next 5 to 10 years. That's still very much not enough for us to achieve our enrollment targets as a nation. And we really need urgent funding reform. We really need to look at new models to fund students, because the existing system does not allow anybody really to grow in the right direction.
And just in wrapping up, one of the topics that was discussed at the recently ended G20 was education priorities. How quickly could we see South Africa and Africa integrate some of the discussions that came out?
Definitely. I think it's the B20 and the G20 really outlined that the leaders agreed to boost implementation of regional accords, the UNESCO Global Convention on the Recognition of Qualifications concerning higher education, and that will really improve cross-country acceptance of our degrees. And for South African universities, including the private institutions, this G20 endorsement promises to enhance the global recognition of their qualifications, making it easier for graduates to have their degrees accepted abroad and facilitating academic collaboration and us building real cross-skills framework within Africa. And I think the recent moves in South Africa towards recognizing private higher education institutions as full universities, which is still in the making and still subject to ratification, is really, really exciting, because that will allow us to build the skills that we need for this. And also, it will give young people experiential learning opportunities, which I think is very, very important. So to your question, I think it won't take a million years. We're moving in the right direction, and I think it will take public and private working together, and that's what we've proposed through this Eduvos white paper.
Well, Dr. Steenberg, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We'll leave it there for today.
Thank you so much.
That was Dr. Riaan Steenberg, Eduvos Executive Director, joining us on the line. It is 12:53 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. And join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406 9126 hashtag Africa Update, and let us know which country you're in.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
The Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, has